Call the meeting order. Would you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. We have public comments. Are you two going to talk to us this evening? And I think we got Judy Weeks. All right, so we have four. All right, so I'm going to read the little comment before we start the public comments. The public comment period is intended for the public to share ideas and concerns. It is not intended for interactive discussion with the council. There may be opportunities for the public comments during specific agenda items that require public hearing. Members of the public are requested to confine their remarks to questions or issues under discussion during this time. During any designated comment period, individuals shall not engage or in personal attacks, shall not impugn the motives of any speaker, and shall at all times while in session conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. No person shall make personal, impertinent, slanderous, and unauthorized remarks or become boisterous while addressing the council. With that being the case and stated, Fitz is first. Fitz, yes, sir. Just come up and give us your name and the city you reside in, please.
Sorry about my attire, gentlemen.
No, you're fine.
My name's Mr. Fitch. I'm a civil rights activist, and I need to provide a public notice to the city of Coos Bay. The Constitution of the United States has an overreaching requirement that every state must follow. Clause 1 of Amendment 5, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless the presentment or indictment by a grand jury. An emolument violation is when you pay a public official to break the law. The Constitution has two areas that enforces this. And it's Article 1, Section 10 says no state shall create a law that shall impair or obligation of those contracts. Police officers, prosecutors, judges all fall under that contract. A contract to perform based on the oath of affirmation that they all took to support and defend the Constitution. The 14th Amendment is the other place that you will find the reinforcement of this issue, and that is where it states, no state shall create or enforce any law that shall abridge the privilege or immunities of the United States citizen. Unfortunately, the state of Oregon has enacted a law that is inferior to the Constitution that permits public officials, judges, law enforcement officers, whom you all pay, to violate the Constitution of the United States. I'm here to notify you that if you continue to pay public officials to break the law, criminal sanctions can come from that. I'm asking you guys, all personally, to please take a look at Clause 1, Amendment 5 to confirm what I'm saying to be true and direct your public officials to act in a lawful, constitutional manner that consists with obligations that are codified in the Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I hand this to you?
Thank you, next person would be Judy Weeks.
Thank you, Joe.
Hey, Judy.
Hi. I have some grave concerns about traffic on Anderson Avenue west of 10th Street. School's starting in a couple weeks, and the speed on that street is just horrendous. And I have a little dog that I walk every day, 2 and 3 times a day, and I'm scared to death to go out of our driveway because I'm afraid he's going to get hit. And they come from clear down where Gary Long lives, clear down the end of the road, I think. And they just go like hell, excuse me, but there's no other way to put it. I also walk a lot, and I sometimes push a rollator or a walker, and I'll have my dog with me. And I stopped the other day out here, and I always stop before I go out in crosswalk. I never assume that they're going to stop, because that'll just get you in trouble. Anyway, this Bronco come from the light straight through, never stopped for me, but the officer driving the patrol car, the first one in the next lane going through, he never did a thing to her. And the community service officer was in to pick up behind him. That's the end of my complaint. I'd like to see the bicycle cops back, but I've talked to Chris, and they're working on it, so
All right.
that's good. Good news.
Thanks, Judy. It's good to see you.
Nice to be back.
Mike Powder.
Oh, hello, everybody. There we go. Just a few little notes. I live up in the Empire area, and this weather's been fantastic. I've had my bike out all the time. I use it every day to ride from my house to the swimming pool at Bay Athletic Club, swim every day, and it's just a good run. Unfortunately, sometimes I have to go to, like I went to the college today. Arago and Newmark, they really need to be looked at. The speed limit from the city line all the way to the Y, I feel, should be 25 miles an hour. It's a bit of a mishmash. There's 25, there's 20, there's this, that, and the other. It wouldn't cost, I don't think it would cost lives to go 25 miles an hour. I think people would, the time difference is nothing. Arago, for instance, I've been looking at that road a lot. And when you come down that hill, people are bombing down that hill right by that grocery store there. And this time of year, we've got lots of people going to and from across that road. And when I try to do it on my bike sometimes, people are coming down that hill really fast. I have to pedal like Dickens to get across it. So I would say it would be good if we could have a look at making that to 25 all the way. I know it seems a little harsh, but we've got a lot of driveways there. We have a lot of human activity there. Unfortunately, some we don't want, but we have a lot of human activity along that stretch. So that's my little bit on that area. And today I was down there at Hollowing Point, and that area is a treasure. I think it's a diamond in the rough that we're missing out on. There's something missing out. There were a group of artists down there, and they had all their cars lined up, and they met, and they had a bunch of people had painting the waterfront there and doing this sort of stuff, and they're gathering there. And it's a very good place. The parking lot was full of boats and stuff like that. But, there's some areas that could really be looked at. We've got an overflowing garbage can. We've got a third world restroom, and it could be a fantastic area. There's a diamond in the rough there. And that's about it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, just for clarification, we do have an Arago Street, I believe, but you're talking about Cape Arago?
Cape Arago, yeah, for the city limits to, then it goes all the way around onto Newmark. And it gets pretty hairy along there, people. A bit of a speed track at times, yeah. Yep. Thanks.
Dean.
Thank you, putting up with my 2 cents. I really love this river here. It's fabulous. I don't know if the city's going to have someone there tomorrow at the Indian Casino. They're going to have a kind of a sales thing on the ship to rail project, and I'm very concerned about rolling out the red carpet for the People's Republic of China coming in with their ships. I've seen the rivers well, not physically, but I know what they look like in China. One discharge of one of those ships into this river, and we won't have our crab or our clams. A very knowledgeable person once said, "A good place to live is a good place to live." Well, if those species come into this river, they will find this a good place to live, but they don't. They'll take over the habitat here. And dredging 50 feet deep. The Chinese don't do anything on a small scale. They come in with 747s. They come in with the Costco shipping, Costco Busan. I mean, these things are huge. They're a city block long. They're 10 stories high, these ships. They don't do anything small. And they don't care about, they'll just come in and resource. Part of the Belt and Road. In an air crash, they don't say we lost 250 people. They say we lost 250 souls. Well, I don't know about you, but you catch one of these fish in this river, that fish, he qualifies. I mean, they're fighting for their lives. And this river is so special and it's just so pristine and so special. And the Dungeness crab are just horribly good eating. You know, we have a special thing here, and to allow ships 15 days out of China to come into this bay, you know, just bringing in their plastic stuff and resourcing our stuff coming out, I don't see it. I think tourism is where it's at for this area, ecotourism, and I'm speaking for the birds and the fish and the other souls. You know, there's lots of them, and there'll be a handful of people will be bribed by these big Costco shipping. You know, that's their MO. They bribe the politicians, they corrupt the customs officials, and they come in. They don't need us. We'll work for 5 years. Our roughnecks will work like they do in fracking in the Midwest. They'll work for 5 years building something, and then we got to deal with this for the rest of our lives. And you can kiss grabbing goodbye. 10 years from now, it'll be different, you know, forever. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dean. All right, so first of all, a few clarifications. I guess Mr. Fitch came up and talked. This council's not paid. I just want to clarify, we're not paid officials. And then second of all, we have an attorney that keeps us in line and make sure that we follow the Constitution and the state Constitution. So I will leave it there. If we need to do something differently, I'm sure that Nate will let us know. And Judy Weeks already talked to the chief. I saw and even walked her out and talked to her. So there's only so much we can do, as everyone knows, with speed limits, and we will continue to try. Mike, I don't disagree with 25 being the case out there in Empire, but we can only control what we can control. As you know, ODOT is the one that rules, and so we'll deal with that. As far as the hollering place goes, we did an Empire blueprint plan that talked about developing that area down there, making it a park-like setting for boats to come, and so that's something that is still on our plate and we continue to do. In fact, the developer wanted to go there, and we said no, that we changed our motto to make sure that we make it recreational and a park-like type operation. So, the garbage, we keep getting statements one way or the other. Going back when Roger was here, we had smaller garbage containers, and then we had abundance of garbage all over the place. So we put in a large container, and they fill it up. The point being is, do we allow them to fill it up at no cost? And I know they throw couches and all kinds of things in there, but if we don't, where does that stuff end up? So I don't know, what's the worst of two evils? And so we will continue to deal with it, and hopefully it'll get better, and I don't know, maybe it won't. But anyway, that's the philosophy behind that. And Cape Arago, as Stephanie mentioned, that's something that, again, we can only control or not control. So anyway, those are my comments. Dean, we'll see what happens. Go down there and make your comments if you like. So anyway.
I am planning on attending the meeting tomorrow. Yeah.
I am also planning on attending the meeting, but I want to also caution on I've tried to figure out a way to say this, that theory is different than fact, and I want to be careful because this is a matter of public record. You're on the record when you step up to the microphone, and some of what's stated in public comment is not actual fact. It's someone's opinion or theory, and I just want to make that clear. It's the best place to get it is from the source. I don't even have all of the information on that, so. I know that this was the world's largest port that shipped lumber on the West Coast, and our Dungeness crab have not disappeared. Just as an example, I just feel like we need to be cautious in what we're stating for the record.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, with that being the case, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. So, Council, how would you like to proceed on the consent calendar?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as submitted. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Next item is a presentation, our semi-annual presentation by the Coos Bay North Bend Charleston Visitor and Convention Bureau. Janice, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
It's always good to have you here.
Thank you, Mayor. It's always good to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to present to the council and to remind everybody how important tourism is to our economy and how appreciated we are that this city and this council supports our industry so well. So I do have a bit of a presentation, and thank you, Christine, for putting that up there. So this is one of our newest photographs. We love it. Steve Ryan took this for us. It's outside if you can see, outside Coos Bay Village. It's really a pretty shot. Oh. There we go. All right, I can see my stuff. We haven't closed out the books for fiscal year 25 yet. That won't happen until almost October because of the way funding comes in now for the Visitor and Convention Bureau. So I wanted to show you what our budget is for the new year. You will see at that top line, carryover and rainy day fund. About a year and a half ago, our board agreed to start putting some money aside into a rainy day fund in case tourism slows down, and we have seen a bit of a slowdown in tourism this year all across the country. There's less foreign international travelers coming into the country, but we have seen quite a few in our area, so I'll talk about that in a minute as well. So that carryover and rainy day fund includes about $84,000 that's currently in the bank. We will be putting another $54,000 into that account this year, and once we hit $200,000, we'll stop putting money into that account. It's about 5% of the lodging tax that comes in, and it'll just sit there until we need it. And if we need to use it, then we will once again start putting money back into it. The lodging tax that we're expecting this year is about $1,035,000. As most of the lodging properties are in Coos Bay does pay the lion's share of that amount of money. About $500,000 comes straight from Coos Bay. The rest is split between our three other funding sources, which is the City of North Bend, the Coquel Indian Tribe, and Coos County for a portion of the Charleston area. Oops, I didn't mean to turn that already. Wow, hang on. All right. Also want to talk about the visitor. It went away. Did I hit something? That one went away. Okay, but I can look at my own sheets. The Visitor Information Center is also part of the funding that we get from the City of Coos Bay. It's separate from what we get for the VCB. As you can see from this slide, our income is a little bit higher than our expenses, and that's because we also make a little bit of profit off of the merchandise that we sell in the Visitor Center. So that's why there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. Our expenses include things like our staff, our utilities, fees, printing, and merchandise purchases, because we can't sell merchandise if we don't have any in stock. All right, so let's see if it'll switch. Oh, point it over here? Okay. Wow, this is confusing. Still not doing it. You might have to, yeah, because the light keeps going off. So if you'll just advance to the next slide. There we go. So tourism in Coos Bay, North Bend, and Charleston, we get this data specific to our three communities. It went down slightly in 2024, about 0.4%. We went from $147.9 million to $147.3 million, which that's $600,000 in less visitor spending. It still supported 2,100 jobs, and we still had approximately 850,000 overnight visitors. And the money that they spend here is on things like overnight stays, dining out at our restaurants, going to our grocery stores, and on arts, entertainment, recreation, going out with a guide, that kind of thing. I'm going to switch. So Coos County, our amount amounts to about 40% of the Coos County total, which is $335.9 million spent in the county by visitors. Now, we have to remember we have a big dog in our county, Bandon Dunes. So that's where a lot of that other money is coming in. The money spent by visitors supports about 3,800 jobs in our county, and we had more than 1 million overnight visitors. A couple of years back, we started looking at our return on investment. I wish I could say that all $147 million spent in our area was influenced by what we do at the Visitor and Convention Bureau, but we can't. We can only really say that about 15% of that, or about $20 million, could be said to have been influenced by what we do. So that's where we start our data collecting, and that's where we figure this amount of money. So for every dollar we spend, which in 2024 was about $800,000 on advertising, marketing, going to trade shows, those kinds of things, we brought in $20 or $26 for every dollar we spent. So that's a pretty good return on investment, I think. I think a lot of others would say that as well. You can go fast next to after this one. That's just kind of a. So here's some really good news that we've had recently. So as you guys know, Denver's flight. So we used to have a Denver flight, OTH to Denver, Denver to OTH, 2 days a week. This year it went daily. And that was a big deal for us because we needed to make sure we filled that flight, not just with golfers, but with other people coming to our area. So the Visitor and Convention Bureau did an entire ad campaign in the Denver market. Now, I'm sure you guys know big markets like Denver are really expensive. So we did a lot of digital, we did a lot of social, and these are some of our campaign successes. We started in April. The flight started in May, so we started our campaign in April, and through the end of July, we have had 10,600 Denverites, I guess is what you would call them, visit our website. They stay about a minute, a little over a minute, but we had 298 clicks from our website to United Airlines. That's pretty big. If you look at where we were in Q3, so that would have been October, November, December, of the number of people from Denver, no, Q3 is January, February, March, sorry. The number of people from Denver who had been to our website at all, not just a special page we set up, but to our website at all, we had about 338. In Q4, we had 5,991 unique visitors. Now, some of those people came back. That's why we get that 10,000 number. That's a 1,600% increase in people from Denver coming to our site. So the airport yesterday sent me some new information. Enplanements and deplanements from the Denver flight, they are reporting a 173% increase in passengers on those Denver flights year over year. That went from 2,900 passengers on the twice weekly to over 8,000 passengers on the daily just through the end of July. So we know we're moving the needle, and that's really important to us. So some of our other campaigns this year, one of our strategic goals from our strategic plan that we did a few years back was to get people to stay a little longer. On average, people would stay about 2 nights. We wanted them to stay 3, 4, a little bit more. So we started an entire campaign about make a week of it. Unpack once, spend the entire week. You can go to a lot of places. We're a very good hub and spoke kind of location. Stay here, go to Bandon, go to Reedsport, go inland a little bit, but come back and stay here. And that campaign has done really well. We've done some print, which we don't do a lot of print anymore, but we did billboards along the I-5 corridor and a lot of digital on that. We also started our Cool at the Coast campaign a little early this year because we did see that we were losing a little bit of occupancy, and so we wanted to see if we could encourage some people. Even in the 90s, it's a little warm in the valley, and so we started that campaign a little early, and we're hoping that actually moved the needle a little bit. If you want to go on. So we also not only do we do a lot of digital ads, a lot of television ads, and a lot of social media, but we also do what we call sponsored content advertising. These are newsletters. They look like they came from us. This is all of our branding, but that one on the left went to the KEZI, K-E-Z-I, subscriber list, and the one on the right went to Willamette Week's subscriber list. So they get our stuff. It looks like it's coming from us, but it came from Willamette Week or KEZI. So, and now this is our next campaign. Summer's not over. It's still hot. We still have a lot of stuff going on, especially through September. And so we are doing a lot of advertising to get people to come here during the weekends in September for all of the events. We are also doing, and I don't have any examples right now because we just finished the graphics, a Stay an Extra Night campaign because of the ODOT closing Highway 101 on Bay Area Fun Festival weekend. And I can tell you, I've fought that and fought that. I tried really hard to get them to change that weekend, to not close one of the main arteries into our community. They never even asked Coos Bay if that was an issue for us. I think ODOT will now ask me if they can close the road in Astoria in the future, because I made such a stink about it. But it was important to us. This is a big event for us, and this is a big Prefontaine Memorial Run, and it's a big cruise, the Coos, so there's a lot that goes on that weekend. The other campaign that we've just started is Forged by Mother Nature, which is a really cool campaign that we are trying to show how gorgeous and beautiful our area is. Some of our goals for the new year include expanding that stay to make a week of it. We're promoting our uniqueness. We're making us a bucket list destination. You hear that a lot, but we really want people to think of us that way. We've got a new website in development. Our current website has been up since 2018. It's time, but we're incorporating a lot of accessibility features into it, and it's going to be baked into the code. We received a $42,000 grant from Travel Oregon to cover the cost of that, because doing that many pages with it baked in is kind of expensive. The other thing we've been doing is cross-promoting our advertising with our providers. So we talk about fishing, going out with a guide. We talk about going forest bathing, going out with the guide. We talk about the Prefontaine Run. Go to the art museum and see the Prefontaine Gallery while you're here. So we're trying to do some of these all work together kind of campaigns. So if you want to go to the next, this is the other thing we did. So typically when you advertise with Google, you give Google a pot of money and you give them some assets. And Google decides which assets are going to be fed to which person based on some algorithm that I don't understand. So what we were finding was that, yes, our big things kept getting attention, all the big things. But some of our little things that are really important, some of our events were not getting attention at all. So we split this up and started putting pockets of money into each bucket. So you see all the little buckets. And we have seen a lot of results from this. If you want to go to the next slide, Christine. So from February to March, we did a cultural campaign. So we were talking about the Egyptian theater, and we were talking about the art museum, and we were doing all of these special things. And in that 2-month period, we had a 2,000% increase in people going to our cultural page, because from the Google ads. Last September, we started really hitting hard the forest bathing. We had a 1,300% increase in people going to our forest bathing page. Mountain biking is one of our big buckets. It's one of the things that gets a lot of attention. And we still had, because we put money specifically in that bucket, a 300% increase in people going to that page. So we are seeing that we're moving that needle. The next slide just kind of shows you how we break up our advertising by season. So in the summer, we talk about Make a Week of It. We're talking about the Blackberry Arts Festival and Circle the Bay and July Jubilee and a lot of things like that. Then we go into the fall, the winter, and the spring. And the next 2 pages, if you want to go through the next 2 pretty quick, this shows you how we break it up in our calendar. The top things are the big important things that we spend a lot of money on, and then those kind of tan-colored ones, those are our Google buckets. That's the things we're concentrating on in those months. So we have 3 buckets every month along with the big stuff. So we're seeing a lot of interesting changes here. All right, next, holiday lights. So when I did this slide, and I had already sent the presentation, so I didn't change it, we still needed about $3,000. We got that yesterday. So all the buses are completely paid for holiday lights this year. We're really excited about having the shuttle again. 19 nights, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, plus the 4 holidays of Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and New Year's Eve. So that will roll again. And we can go to the next. So this is our beautiful visitor center, and I can't tell you how many days, every day, we get a compliment on how beautiful this building is and how wonderful it is that it's here. So next is our recap of what we have been seeing at the visitor center. So usually I do January to June, but I went through July this time because we have a lot of really cool information to share. So in that time frame, we saw 10,000 people come through the doors of the Coos Bay Visitor Center. And you have to understand that a lot of people don't go to visitor centers anymore. They've got a phone in their hand that can tell them exactly where they need to go and what they want to do. So having that many people coming through our doors is really important. With the other 2 visitor centers in our area, we saw about 12,000 people come through the doors of visitor centers. We had about 1,675 volunteer hours at our visitor center, and that is down. Last year at this time, I was reporting about 2,500. And that's because volunteerism is down. And it's down significantly. And we'll get a volunteer, and they'll stay for a little while, and then life happens, and they go away. And so we hired a part-time staff person this year with the approval of the city manager and some showing of how the monies, we weren't getting more money from the city. We did it within the budget we get. But she is there at the desk when we don't have a volunteer. And with 10,000 people coming through the door, we need people in there to welcome and to share and to help. So it was a good thing that we were able to hire her. And if you haven't been to the visitor center lately, I encourage you to come back, because between her and Johnny, our visitor center manager, they have revamped the entire visitor center. They have rearranged the brochures. They have re-merchandised all of our stock, which is why I think we have sold $15,000 worth of merchandise in the first 7 months of the year. We ended June, and we were like, man, that's the best month we've ever had. We had 2,600 people through the doors, and we sold $3,400 worth of merchandise. Best month ever. And then July hit. And we had almost 3,000 people through the door, and we sold $4,100 worth of merchandise. So it's working, whatever we're doing. We also have sent out 8,300 visitor guides in the last 7 months. Those come from leads we get from Travel Oregon, as well as those who ask for it directly. We sent 81 relocation packets. Those are people who are asking for things like, where can I buy a house? We send them the Chamber's directory, we send them the Chamber's map, and the Chamber actually covers the cost of that postage, because it's almost $4 each packet that we sent. And we had visitors from 14 countries and 47 states in those 7 months. And the countries included Germany, Canada, UK, Australia, Uganda, Nepal, France, Austria, Spain, Japan, Ukraine, Switzerland, Norway, and the Netherlands. So while other people are saying international travel is down, we've been a bit of a UN at the visitor center, and the international travelers really like coming through the visitor center because they get more information, they get more one-on-one. We also had a busload of a tour from Tennessee that came through last week. 50 people got off the bus, used the bathroom, looked at our stuff, and left. But, they looked at our stuff, and they used the bathroom. So that's my report. Happy to answer any questions, and again, we are very appreciative of the support we get from the city of Coos Bay.
Well, we appreciate what you've done, and I can go back. Before you came, Janice, we didn't have near this kind of operation down there, and it's been very successful for our area because of what you've done.
Thank you.
Collaboration is key.
Yes.
That's you've talked about. Now, we should say just come here. Now we're saying come and spend a week and visit other places, and they are also saying the same thing. So collaboration really works. I was at a mayor's conference, and some of these, we had a panel, and they were up there talking about tourism. They said, yeah, visitor centers, forget it. We need to close them down. And I looked at them, I thought, well, ours isn't that way. And obviously, I'm right. We get a lot of visitors at this Visitors Information Center. But in other places, obviously, as Janice mentioned, they don't. So I think we're very fortunate to have what we have. And so anyway, I think it's wonderful. I think it's great. And just keep it up. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to say that I appreciate the collaboration for the wayfinding signs. I love that it matches the brochure of the walking maps.
Mm-hmm.
Great job.
Thank you. Yes, we like having those out, and I'm glad to see the new one is out, except 2 days after we printed it, the pizza place moved from 4th Street to Front Street. Mm-hmm. And so that place is not correct on the map. So in 3 months, we'll change it again. And it never fails. There's always something changing. But it's good. It's good. Our community is growing, and we've got some really great businesses. So thank you.
Anyone else? Anyway, it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, Dean, just to mention what you talked about, we realize that tourism is an economic driver here, and we all have been supporting that for a long period of time. So it's come a long way. It's going to go a lot further. So anyway, we agree.
Well, I've noticed that when the bathrooms there, the public bathrooms are occupied, the bathrooms there at the visitor center are great, and they're just so welcoming, and it's just beautiful. That is a beautiful visitor center. Really stunning.
All right, next item on the agenda is a public hearing to consider submission to the Oregon Department of Energy Community Renewable Energy Grant. That's a mouthful. So Jennifer, you're going to be handling this presentation, or?
I am, and Christine's going to be pulling
Thank
the
you.
presentation on our screen. Okay. So I won't say that, you just said that for me, so we can go to the next slide. So tonight, the intent is to have a public hearing, and if it pleases this council, we're going to go out for a construction grant. But I thought before we do that, we should talk about the planning level efforts that have been completed to date. Talk a little bit about grid reliability, the program that we're applying to, the overview of the proposed solar equipment, the cost of the solar equipment, and then the schedule. So we received this information from Pac Power, and it's from May 2020 until January 2025. And you can look up there and see there's 3-4 kind of events that had a duration without power. The longest durations were 6+ hours, which occurred twice in the last year and a half. Next one. So this grant program, we applied last November for a planning level grant. We were awarded. Staff worked with Wilden Engineering, and the goal was to see if it was feasible to install renewable energy here, specifically solar power. We completed the feasibility planning level report and determined that it was. So in June 2025, the Oregon Department of Energy announced a new $12 million round of grants to support the planning and construction of these projects. So it's estimated $8 million total dollars. It's expected to go towards construction grants, with each grant being $1 million. So the overview of our proposed feasibility study. We're going to have 198 solar panels that are going to be installed on the roof of City Hall, 3 30-kilowatt inverters, 3 60-kilowatt batteries. And with that, we're going to get 10 hours of critical power use. And we're still going to have the generator to stay as backup. So the cost for that is $1 million, which actually falls just under the proposed construction grant opportunities. If we are successful in getting the construction grant, we're looking about a 14-month construction schedule. There are things that could affect that timeline: procurement, grant release, contract award, but it's a 14-month level of effort. So one of the requirements for the construction grant is to show community engagement. We're going to do the public hearing tonight. We also did a survey with CCD. They actually did that for us. We received 80 responses, and those responses are in your staff packet. But overall, the majority of people understood that City Hall also serves as the 911 dispatch center for North Coos. And in general, the public was in favor of the project. There was also some additional information that we received. 23 residents wanted more information and requested to be on an informational distribution list, and 11 residents volunteered to be on a short-term construction advisory committee, should we be successful in getting the grant. So next steps, commence with a public hearing to obtain input on the North Coos 911 Dispatch Resiliency Project. Adopt Resolution 2528, and if that's done, it approves the submission of the construction grant, designates the city manager as the authorized representative, and acknowledges the public survey that was conducted. If the resolution is approved, staff will work with CCD to complete the grant.
Question before we open a public hearing? It was interesting, these questions. I was reading through them this afternoon. It says, what would be done to ensure all community members benefit from renewable energy investments. Select your top 3. And the number 2 was offer community education and awareness programs. Then you go down to 13. Would you be interested in receiving updates or educational resources about solar energy? No, by 45%. It was just kind of interesting. Anyway, just nothing to be justified by that. Just a curious thing that I saw. All right. With that being the case, I'm going to open the public hearing. If you have any questions about this or any thoughts, please come up and give us your name and where you reside and your thought. Good.
I'm Janice Longley. I live in Coos Bay, and I have solar panels on my roof. We have solar panels on the roof at the Visitor Information Center, and they make a huge difference. And I love that the city is looking to move towards more solar. I'm more concerned about things like wind energy out in the ocean when there are other easier ways to generate some alternative energy. So I applaud the city for going after this grant.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? All right. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. And council, how would you like to move on this? We need to adopt a resolution if we want to move forward on this project.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2528, authorizing the submission of the Oregon Department of Energy Community Renewable Energy Grant Program application.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 25-28. Is there any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. Next item is consideration to accept the Safe Routes to School plan. Jennifer, you again.
Thank you. And Christine is bringing up. Okay. So we can go to the next slide. So in 2024, the city was awarded a planning level grant through ODOT for the Safe Routes to School program. It was for 3 schools, Sunset, Destinations Academy, and Marshfield High School. So to support this planning level effort, one of the requirements was the city had to form a project management team. And there was all these different representatives that we had to check that box. So the Downtown Association, all 3 schools, the Empire Coalition, ODOT, members at large, 2 parks commissioners, and city staff. So the PMT met with ODOT's consultant several times and provided feedback. The PMT and the consultant performed an on-site visit to each school where they observed traffic flows, bicycle usage, and pedestrian patterns. The PMT with the Parks Commission established the preferred projects for each school. The preferred projects were then further evaluated in this planning level document, and cost estimates were created. The document is included in your package. It has several different sections, but the preferred projects are identified under the recommendations section of the plan and labeled as ODOT SRTS Construction Grant Priority. So the next slide. And so I'm going to go past this slide and not make you guys look at it. But here's, so what we did and what the Parks Commission and the PMT did is they bundled a lot of their projects that the consultant identified. And so project 1 is project 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 15. And so they really just comprise of ADA sidewalks, crosswalks, increasing some timing in the existing rapid flashing beacon. The new projects are project 11, which adds always signage to all the stop signs at Hall Avenue and South 7th Street. And then project 12, which includes hardening the center line with a raised median or modular curb along the driveway along South Frontage Street, just north of Hall Avenue, and adding new signage. They think that this will prevent vehicles from turning left from Marshfield High School students' parking lot, which is illegal. So the second project is project 14. Excuse me. If we could go back one, apologies. to the Marshfield Heights, that one. Yes. It's okay. One more. Okay. So then the second project is Project 14, and that's going to establish a leading pedestrian interval at South 10th Street and Central Avenue to provide pedestrians with a few second head start to enter into the intersection before vehicles are granted a green light. And that was more for Destinations Academy, and the consultant combined Destinations and Marshfield together. So now if you could go forward 2 slides to the next exhibit. So the next school that was evaluated was Sunset. So Project 1 is recommendation 1, 10, and 15, and that's in the upper left-hand side. So Project 1 is installing permanent striping to designate a drop-off lane along Michigan Avenue near South Cameron Street. Recommendation 10 is to remove the bent signpost and install a new post with a no parking sign near Michigan and Madison intersection. And recommendation 15 is to construct ADA accessible curb ramps and install a high visible crosswalk at Maryland and Madison intersections. And then preferred project 2 is recommendation 26. So that's over there off of Shoneman. And actually that whole area from Shoneman all the way over to Madison really should be highlighted, because they're going to take a look at that whole area, install ADA ramps, crosswalks, and sharrows. And sharrows.
And they both went.
Okay, we'll go to the next one if you wouldn't mind. So staff is recommending council accept this plan. If accepted by council, it would be helpful should the city apply for a construction grant through the SRTS program. The ODOT SRTS construction grant opportunity is scheduled to be opened for applications in January of 2026, and construction grants can range between $2 and $3 million.
Well, I think this, first of all, I want to thank the project management team for doing this. I mean, this was quite involved report or safe route to school plan, so I think it's great. So this sets us up. I mean, obviously, we don't have funding for this, and we get the funding, I would hope, or I would think, from ODOT, right, or other grants?
Correct.
But we need to have this in place to be able, we can get the grants, right?
Correct.
The other thing, on some of this, like out by Sunset, it included some streets and some upgrades on that. Is that anything that we have in our plan already to do, like paving or anything like that? Is that already in that plan?
Not currently. The only overlap a little bit was Michigan Avenue in the Empire Blueprint, and we made sure that there was no contradicting proposals.
All right. Comments, council?
I love the plan. Looking forward to seeing it happen.
Yeah, I think it's great. By the way, you two, bicycles, did you see that in there? Bicycle usage was one of the key items. I just wanted to point that out to you. So,
I thought the information contained in that report was really well thought out.
Yep.
And the areas where this focuses on, a lot of those streets are wider than normal, and there's room for these improvements. But there are also things that we've been hearing about, but we can't forget to tell folks when they're around schools, you need to drive a little more careful, because it seems like vehicles are just going faster. I was looking at the student numbers for Marshfield, and back when I was going to Marshfield a long time ago, there were a lot more students there, but we have a lot more people traveling in vehicles around those areas. So I know that there have been some concerns from parents, and so I really appreciate this report. I think it's a great plan.
yeah, it's great to have this in place. A safe route to school was the sidewalk on the east side. That was paid for. Is there anything else that we did also? That's the latest one that I remember. So that was great that we were able to do that. And because of that, that was a grant for a couple $1 million to do. And so we needed to have that in place. So anyway, with that being the case, how would you like to move forward on this?
I move to accept the 2025 Coos Bay Safe Route to Schools plan for Sunset School, Marshfield High School, and Destinations Academy.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the Safe Routes to School plan. Any other comments or discussions? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. Next one, consideration to approve purchase and installation of pre-designed restroom for Mingus Park. Jennifer.
Thank you. So the City of Coos Bay was awarded just over a $340,000 grant through the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department's local government grant program to support the revitalization of restroom facilities at Mingus Park. The total project cost is $572,441, with the city contributing just under $230,000 in match. Project elements include the enclosing the picnic area, which is complete, and the replacement of a prefabricated restroom near the playground and the remodel of the ball-filled restrooms. Both bathrooms will incorporate ADA-compliant upgrades, energy-efficient lighting, and durable, low-maintenance materials designed for long-term community use. The ball-filled bathroom remodel is underway, but staff recently learned that the prefabricated fiberglass restroom estimate has increased from what was originally quoted during the grant application process. The new quote is approximately $290,000, which is approximately $40,000 higher than the original quote. Additionally, the lead time for the restroom is 10 to 12 months. Along with the higher costs associated with the prefabricated restroom, the city is responsible for the site preparation, pouring of the concrete pad, and installation of the utilities through the concrete pad. These costs were included in the original budget and have a total of about $65,000. Staff investigated options and is recommending the project use a concrete masonry unit pre-designed restroom. The cost for the CMU block pre-designed restroom is $250,000. This facility would be constructed on-site and would be completed over a period of 45 days. Staff would still be required to run new utilities to the proposed location. However, the pad and utility penetration would be performed by the restroom installer. The cost to install the utilities to the facility is estimated to be $35,000. The lead time associated with the CMU block pre-designed restroom is 4 to 6 months. This potential change has been presented to the grantor and has been approved. Because the grant is funding the rehabilitation of one restroom, which is the ball-filled restroom, and the installation of the new restroom, which we're calling the Mingus Pond restroom, staff indicated a desire to standardize the fixtures in both restrooms. Staff is proposing to spend approximately $67,000 on spare parts, which would be covered by the grant dollars. The CMU pre-designed restroom, installation of utilities, and the standard spare parts were presented to the Parks Commission on August 7th for consideration and approved. The Commission reached a consensus and is recommending the project incorporate these three elements. This change does not increase the overall original budget.
Questions?
Great pivot.
Yeah, I think it's great. So my question is, how are these restrooms going to be regulated or overseen? I mean, are they going to be open 24 hours a day? Are they going to be locked and then open? Do we have a plan for that?
They could have the same hours as the park at dusk to
Okay.
dawn. Or dawn. Yeah, okay,
So someone will lock them and then someone will unlock them?
correct.
Okay. Great. Council?
I move we approve the recommendation from the Parks Commission to purchase the CMU blocked pre-designed bathroom, perform site work, and purchase spare fixtures for the amount not to exceed $352,000.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve the recommendation of the Parks Commission to purchase CMU block pre-designed bathroom, not to exceed $352,000. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. All right, Jennifer, we're done with you for a while. Next item is consideration of moratorium on construction of new self-storage unit facilities would require an adoption of Resolution 25-29. Chelsea.
Yeah, good evening, Council. At our last meeting on August 5th, it was identified that the development of new storage unit facilities in Coos Bay would ideally be limited, restricted. Currently, we allow storage, we permit them, we conditionally permit them, or we do not expressly prohibit storage unit developments in all zone districts except for our mixed use and our residential. So that's a lot of commercial industrial land where they're allowed. We identified 13 existing facilities in town, and we do have a map that shows the locations of those in relation to our vacant land. And you'll see there's not a lot of vacant land. The concern with this type of development really is it's not one that generates jobs. It certainly doesn't generate housing. It doesn't come with a lot of increase in assessed property tax value. It doesn't add to an active streetscape. And these are all things that we want to see in our commercial zones. and industrial zones. We know council is well aware we have a need for more housing. We have a need for more economic development. We're just wrapping up our economic opportunities analysis update, which is, you'll learn, shows that we have a deficit of commercial and industrial land. So we don't have a lot of land, and the land we do have, we want to optimize that. We want to encourage, the highest and best use. I did a little bit of research, and for a community rentable storage space, really the market gets saturated at about 7 square feet per capita. And so for Coos Bay, that's approximately 112,000 square feet of rentable storage space. If you look at what an average storage unit facility provides, it's about 46,000 square feet. If we assume in our community that each of these 13 unit facilities, they maybe only have half or less than half of that, we're still providing more than double the amount of storage space needed for a community. So I think it's safe to say that our community is providing, meeting the need for its residents. So if council desires to take immediate action to protect our commercial and industrial lands, you could adopt Resolution 2529 tonight. That would take place immediately. It would limit any future development of new commercial storage unit facilities. And the next steps would be that within the next year, we'd need to look at the code, amend the code, which would mean bringing forth supportive findings. It would require what we call a ballot measure 56 notice. So every affected property owner would get direct mailing notifying them of the change. And then there would be opportunity for comment at Planning Commission public hearing, council public hearing, but that would be how you'd ultimately kind of seal the deal.
So the moratorium, if we pass this, the moratorium goes into effect immediately?
Immediately, correct.
Okay. Yep. So I just want to mention that Councilor Kilmer brought this to my attention, and I brought it to Nicole, and we talked about it at the last council meeting, and I think it's very prudent. And Chelsea took it a little bit further because I thought there had to be some land use situation. This is just a moratorium that's put on, and then at some other point in time, if the council wants to remove the moratorium for whatever reason, they can. It'll be a lot easier and cleaner for any council to deal with it in the future. So I think it's great. I think it's also, as Chelsea pointed out, we have more storage units than we need, almost twice what the average is, and so I think it's wonderful that we're moving down in this way and keep our commercial and industrial properties available for development. So. Anyone else want to chime in?
I just have a question. I'm curious, has the council ever put a moratorium on a single type of business before?
We have?
Yeah.
Seeing nods and shaking heads.
For example, marijuana businesses, that was a moratorium
Okay.
in place, yep.
A similar style of a single year?
I believe it probably did follow the similar style, and what you do is you take the time while you have a moratorium in place to review your development code so that you can then enact by ordinance actual, do you really want to prohibit it? That's what you do by ordinance. Or do you want to set standards in place that help protect, which is what happened with marijuana businesses. It was either prohibited in zones or certain standards set in place for those to help regulate. But the moratorium is trying to help address an immediate need because code amendments take time. So
I just had a question. I know that there's a process for notification for ordinance when you're proposing an ordinance or an ordinance change, but do we notify, if we put a moratorium in place, do we notify people who have property for sale, or is there a process between now and that other point?
So to my knowledge, for enactment of implementation, imposing a moratorium, we don't have any special notification procedures to follow in place. So we don't do that. We certainly could try to do it by courtesy, but I don't know that we have capacity to go out and do that. When it gets to, you set the moratorium in place, and then you move on to make the official code amendments, that has a very particular notification, and every property owner would get a notice letting them know.
So maybe we should put in the Friday update, and I don't even know if there's a way to contact the realtors to inform them, at least that group would be helpful.
Yeah, certainly.
Anyone else?
I move to adopt Resolution 2529, placing a moratorium on the construction of new self-storage unit facilities.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 25-29, putting a moratorium on construction of new self-storage unit facilities. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, passes. Scott, I saw you show up. Did you have a comment you want to make, or you just came to visit? I mean, if you want, before we move on to our mayor's and council comments.
I guess I'll officially say that I'm here representing.
Nice try.
Yeah, I'm here officially representing CCE as the ambassador. I like that word. Just like we have an ambassador that shows up from this council. And I think something went through the council about the Ludd Park building and using it as a pro-social activity spot. So that's the NAYA. Let me flip the hat over on the other side.
Yeah, that wasn't on the agenda. But I know we've been notified by it. We got information from Nicole about that you have an interest. AYA and who else? Was another.
And we would also like to use it for CCE meetings.
Right.
So,
Right.
I'm sorry, Community Coalition of Empire, acronyms, I'm sorry,
Yes.
which has a once-a-month meeting in Empire, so it makes sense for that. But using the building for only once a month just doesn't seem like the most productive thing. AYA would like to use it as a pro-social area so that when youth get involved in different activities that we do, it's not just at our school location.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. At the moment, no one's using that facility, right? It's just empty. Do we know?
I think, to the best of my knowledge, it's just it's being used as a storage building right at this point. So,
It just got emptied out by
Public, yes.
public television.
Public access.
Yeah. So they're finishing up cleaning some things up in there, and then we would take over the electric and make sure we pay those bills and no cost to the city. Sounds like a win-win.
Yeah, I think it does too. And like I said, Nicole sent an email out to the council. I know I saw it, and so it'll be coming to the council for ratification or not. But I would imagine I didn't see anyone objecting to it. So yeah.
That was it. So just
good to see
here to
you.
represent.
Yeah. All right. You can come around more often.
I watch you on television. You can speed up the words 1.5. It goes really quick.
All right. Thanks, Scott. All right. Anyone else want to make a comment? No? All right. Council comments. No one online. So let's start with Jacob.
Nothing at this time.
All right. Sarah.
I just want to mention, I know Nicole is going to come out and do some additional information sharing, but there was a story on KCBY that the city of Coos Bay is purchasing Bologna Ranch. That is not, in fact, true. The city of Coos Bay is not purchasing that facility.
Thank you.
Just,
Tiffany, go ahead.
just wanted to remind folks that this weekend is the Blackberry Arts Festival in downtown Coos Bay, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday, and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. It's a juried arts and crafts, Blackberry treats. It should be a wonderful event, and it's put on by the Coos Bay Downtown Association, so hopefully see you there.
Yeah, and thank you. So I want to talk about or mention that the boardwalk has been spruced up. Everything's been painted down there. The railings are painted. Some of the, and I saw them painting some of the other areas. So it's looking great, and so it's nice to see that. I know there's some more work to be done that we have allocated. I want to thank Greg, and I didn't really have a time to, at our last meeting, he gave CUR a report on what they're going to do. I think it was a great thing Jennifer put together, so please tell Greg thank you. It really lined out a bunch of URA funding that we're going to be doing and moving forward on the boardwalk in different parts of the city, so it was great to report. The other thing I want to also thank the staff for cleaning today the downtown area. They blew everything off and cleaned everything up, got ready for the farmers market and really for the Blackberry Arts Festival. No matter how much you do, sometimes you can still get comments that, the staff missed something. Shame on those people, because our staff did a great job today and worked all day, and they worked hard. So I want to thank them for doing that. I also want to keep in mind, I was hesitant to bring this up, but in the past I brought this up. We have parking lots and parking areas that we still maintain. And I want to remind everyone, those were only purchased by the city some time ago, and those merchants paid for those parking spots. And then after that, there's no more funding for those. If you go to anywhere else, like Pony Village or Coos Bay Village, those tenants pay to maintain those parking lots. And that's something that we, the citizens, are bearing for the benefit of the businesses. Sometimes Phil Marler was sitting here, and I'm going to bring it up again. When he was counselor, he suggested that we should think about some kind of funding mechanism for these businesses, because then we can maintain those parking lots in a better way they are. The other thing is that I walk around and I see weeds on the sidewalks, and am I correct? Those responsibilities are for the business owner, right?
Adjacent business owners.
Yeah, so when those weeds are in front of a business, I would encourage everyone to remind them that they should be cleaning them up and sweeping the sidewalk and taking care of them and make our city look good and presentable for the tourists and ourselves. So anyway, I'll end with that. There's no Urban Renewal Agency meeting, so I will adjourn this meeting and thank everyone for attending.